In this short video, we will demonstrate how to add a natal chart to our application. On our main screen, we will tap on the Birthplace button. We enter the Natal Charts Management page. Let's tap on the Add Person button. Then we'll fill in the birth data. I will add the fictional character Martina, but you can add whoever you like. Add your own data if you haven't done so yet, or a family member, someone who is in your heart, a friend, a famous person, etc. We'll select female gender, which is not mandatory, and we'll enter the date. Martina was born in 2003, on a very hot August night in Seville. Let's enter the time. The time of birth is fundamental. The more accurate it is, the better all this celestial mechanics will be interpreted to understand the complex backstage of our life. For that reason, I would like to mention that in one of the upcoming illustrative videos, which may be more useful for people whose time of birth is somewhat rounded or uncertain, we will use an interesting feature of our Chaldea application, a feature developed to help adjust the time of birth. Martina was born around 22 hours and 30 minutes. Generally, we should choose local legal time, which is the official current time at the place of birth, according to the time zone where the place is located. Let's search for the place of birth. And here it is, Seville in the autonomous community of Andalusia. Let's then tap on the floppy disk button to save the location. Let's accept. We will not explore the Manually Edit Geographic Data button, found at the bottom of the screen. But I can tell you that it is useful when the place of birth is not found. The database has numerous locations around the world, but when our place of birth is not present, sometimes I prefer to choose an existing place of birth as close as possible to the real one, instead of doing manual editing. However, manual editing can be very useful, especially for those who have good knowledge of geography. Now, let's tap on the floppy disk button to finally save the information. Let's review the data and accept. And there we go, we now have Martina in our database. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. This is a very short video that serves to exemplify how we can redefine the theme color of our Chaldea application by selecting one among 12 available colors. On this main screen, at the bottom right, we'll tap on the small gear wheel. We are now on the settings page. It's right on the top line that we see the current theme. When we tap it, a list of 12 colors appears. Each one characterized by a suggestive adjective. These themes constitute an attempt to represent the 12 zodiac signs. At this moment, I feel like choosing progressive. I acknowledge it, and that's it. Our application now has a different appearance. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. In today's video, we will recall how to request a personalized interpretation of a celestial body or a point in our natal chart. The character in this example will be Martina, but choose whoever you like from your list of natal charts. On this main screen, let's tap the Astro Map button. If the desired person is not the one displayed, tap on the name and search or select. Let's tap the Go button. While we wait, we can read philosophical phrases or planetary positions of the map being constructed. And there we go, we now have Martina's chart on the screen. First, let's zoom in. It can make the localization process easier. And inside the second wheel, counting from the center, which is the wheel of birth positions, let's look for the moon. And here is Martina's moon, in the sign of Scorpio and in the 8th house. When people ask us what our sign is, we immediately respond with the sign associated with our day of birth. But that is only our solar sign, one of the 12 sections of the Great Plane defined by the Earth's rotation around the Sun, called the ecliptic, where the Sun is located at the moment of our birth. But there are other fundamental signs to understand the symbolism associated with our life. One of them is the lunar sign. The moon in the sky, when observed from Earth, appears to have a size similar to the Sun. And it's in this context that its importance should be determined. From my perspective, for us conscious beings, symbols, the countless guiding signs that mark our life path, should be read based on the immediate impression they cause on our inner state. And the moon, which represents our sentimental nature, our instincts, our emotional needs, and the way we deal with the inner world, causes us deep impressions. Therefore, the sign where the moon is located at the moment of our birth has a relevance comparable to the solar sign. Let's double-click or long-press the glyph representing the moon. A window appears with astrological and astronomical data, but in this situation, we're interested in the interpretation. So let's tap the question mark button. When you're asked if you want to review a saved interpretation, it means that by choosing that interpretation, you won't consume a credit. I will choose Saved. If this is the first time you request this interpretation, this dialog will not appear. And here is a description in astrological terminology of the moon. What really interests us comes next, and for that, let's tap Next at the bottom of the screen. And here it is, an interpretation both for the astrological meaning of Martina's moon position in her birth chart, as well as an analysis of the situation in terms of transits and progressions for the current date, which is set by default. But you can choose another date. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. Today we are going to discover how to interpret a planet in transit. In astrology, the movement of celestial bodies over time is called transits. In their perpetual movement, the celestial bodies of the solar system, when seen from Earth, can always be framed within one of the 12 sections of the ecliptic, which we call zodiac signs. The character in this example will again be Martina. Each of you choose your character. On this main screen, let's tap the Astro Map button. If the desired person is not the one displayed, tap on the name and search or select. Let's tap the Go button. While we wait, we can read phrases about astrology or discover the planetary positions of the map under construction. And there we go, we now have Martina's map on the screen. Let's zoom in a bit. Today we want to interpret the position of Jupiter in transit. According to astrology, the passage of Jupiter in transit symbolizes expansion, luck, growth, opportunities, and abundance. As we have already seen in the previous video, the map provided by the application includes 4 concentric wheels. Counting from the inner circle, we have Number 1, the boundaries of the houses or sectors that represent the materialization in the earthly sphere of each of the 12 celestial zodiac signs. Number 2, the positions of the natal celestial bodies and points. Number 3, the boundaries of the zodiac signs. And number 4, the positions of the celestial bodies in transit. It is then in the 4th wheel that we will locate the glyph of the planet Jupiter. And here is Jupiter in transit on Martina's map. It is transiting the sign of Gemini and in the 4th house. Let's double tap or long press the glyph representing Jupiter. A window appears with astrological and astronomical data. But in this situation, we are interested in the interpretation, so let's tap the question mark button. If this dialog appears, choose Saved. And here it is, a description, in astrological terminology, of Jupiter's transits. But what really interests us comes next, and for that, let's tap Next at the bottom of the window. And here it is, a personalized interpretation for Jupiter's transit in Martina's map for September 9th. If you want to change the date, on the map interaction screen, tap the small button labeled Date on the top bar. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. The topic of today's video is progressions. From the name, progressions may seem distant and unintelligible, but they are not. We will see that the concept is simple and full of meaning. Progressions of the natal chart are fundamentally based on the day-year analogy. In a single day, planet Earth makes a complete rotation around its axis, while in a year, planet Earth completes a full journey around the Sun. Thus, the planetary transits of the first day of a human's life are projected onto their first year of life. The planetary transits of the second day of a human's life are projected onto their second year of life. And so the analogies continue until the end of earthly life. Planetary progressions and their significant aspects to the celestial bodies and points of the birth chart reveal the goals. They show when we progress to the state where conditions are met for the most significant moments of life to materialize. Once again, my character will be Martina. Let's then open Martina's natal chart. And here it is. On the edge of the circle furthest from the center, we can see the glyphs of the progressed natal planets and points. Let's look for the gray glyph of the moon. Here it is. Martina's moon has progressed to the sign of Leo and the 6th house. Let's double tap or long press the glyph representing the moon. In the panel, we can read that today Martina's planetary progressions correspond to August 26, 2003. Note that Martina was born on August 5, 2003, and therefore August 26 occurred about 21.1 days after her birth. In other words, Martina is 21.1 years old. So let's tap the question mark button. We now have a description of the meaning of the moon in progression. Let's tap Next. And here is a personalized interpretation for the lunar progression in Martina's chart on September 10th. If you wish to change the date, on the map interaction screen tap the small button labeled Date on the top bar. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. The theme of today's video is travel. In astrological tradition, when we live or travel to a destination different from where we were born, a relocation of our birth chart occurs. This relocation implies changes in the sectors or houses and, consequently, in the cardinal points of the chart, namely the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, and nadir. Obviously, our basic natal chart remains unchanged, but relocation involves adding a second layer of sectors or houses that reveal the environment the individual encounters at the relocation place. Once again, my character will be Martina. Let's then open Martina's astral chart. And here it is. Today we want to find a travel destination for Martina. We'll tap the Travel Guide button at the bottom left of the screen. A list of travel themes appears, each associated with the symbolism of one of the main celestial bodies. Martina is a 21-year-old young woman, and it might be more appealing for her to travel in search of art, harmony, beauty, romance, relationships, attraction, love, and money. So let's tap on the 4th theme. And a list of metropolises appears. If no city appears for the character you've chosen, you can tap one of the other buttons next to the top bar, and thus your travel theme will remain, but the purpose will change. Here we have several Chinese cities. China has many metropolises, but let's choose Sydney in Australia. If at the bottom left of the screen we tap the Google Earth button, we can also explore the location in advance, right here in the app, with satellite images. Let's then do a brief exploration. A beautiful destination, certainly, for Martina. Here we have an image of the famous Sydney Opera House. Now let's go back by tapping the return arrow at the top left of the screen. Then we'll use the checkmark button in the upper right corner to confirm the relocation. Let's accept. Let's wait a bit. And here we have Martina's astral chart relocated to Sydney. We see that in this metropolis, Martina's relocated ascendant is in conjunction with her natal Venus. This is why this city appeared on the list. Now let's request a preview of what Martina can expect from her trip to Sydney. Let's tap the What to Expect button on the left side of the screen. And that's it. Martina now has information that may help her make a decision about her next vacation destination. Let's return to the initial screen by tapping the return arrow at the top left of the screen. I'll say no in this dialog at the moment. I don't want to save this relocated chart. And we're done for today. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. Today we will interpret aspects between celestial bodies and points of the natal chart. Planetary aspects are, in astrological knowledge, of enormous importance in evaluating the innate harmonies and tensions that the individual carries with them. These harmonies and tensions have direct consequences on how the individual faces the stage of life. Essentially, an aspect between two elements of the chart occurs when these elements are found at the vertices of a regular polygon. If we define a planet or point as a vertex of, for example, an equilateral triangle, and inscribe that triangle within the zodiacal circle, any other planet or point located at one of the other two vertices of the triangle will make an aspect called a trine, that is, 120 degrees from the first. In this way, the two planets are connected through geometric archetypes. The strength of an aspect in the birth chart is measured by taking into account two factors, namely the importance of the aspect planets or points and the accuracy of the angle or orb. In astrology, aspects are characterized numerologically. Since each regular polygon is associated with a number, the ancestral symbolism associated with that number is used to characterize the nature of each aspect. The main aspects are then associated with the following numbers. Number 1 corresponds to the conjunction, 0 degrees. Number 2 corresponds to the opposition, 180 degrees. Number 3 corresponds to the trine, 120 degrees. Number 4 corresponds to the square, 90 degrees. Number 5 corresponds to the quintile, 72 degrees. On the bar at the top of the screen, let's tap the small button labeled Tables. Let's choose Natal. And now, Natal Aspects. We already have a list of aspects between natal elements in Martina's chart. This list is ordered according to a relevance criterion. In the second position, we see an opposition aspect between Neptune and the Sun. Let's tap to receive an interpretation. And we already have an interpretation available for this aspect. Let's return to the chart because we can also locate aspects within the central circle. Since the individual is the center of their universe, at the center of the zodiac wheel, Chaldea places a naked human figure, a symbol of the transparency of our essence before this ancestral knowledge. An opposition is represented by a line that divides the circle into two equal parts. Oppositions cross the human figure. They represent division. Let's locate the Neptune-Sun opposition. Let's long press the line. And here we have the information about this opposition. And so we conclude for today. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. Today's video addresses the topic of compatibility between two people. In astral wisdom, the comparative analysis of two natal charts is called synastry. There are various techniques within synastry. Chaldea seeks to use only those techniques that are most coherent, taking into account the most elementary astrological principles. If astrology is valid, then it is easy to deduce that the relationship between two people is deeper and more rooted the more significant aspects exist between the most important elements of their charts. This has to happen because, if it doesn't, the two people will not be able to experience as many positive or less positive moments in a synchronized way. Let's see an example. If there are not enough connections or aspects between the two charts, an important planetary transit in one of the charts and in the life of one of the people may not activate any significant element in the other person's chart, and thus shared experiences become limited. There may be many people around the world with many aspects to our chart whom we will never meet, but a person who approaches us, or whom we approach, and who does not have enough significant aspects to our chart, that person cannot have a lasting and meaningful relationship with us. On our main screen, let's tap the Interpretation button. We'll choose our protagonist. In my case, it will be Martina. And now let's tap the Synastry Reports button. I will select John Doe as the partner. We already have a first evaluation that quantifies how harmonious the two charts are. Positive values are obviously better. Let's tap Next. In this second screen, we can assess compatibility by areas of life, each area represented by a celestial body. Let's request an interpretation for the areas ruled by Mars, that is, assertiveness, energy, desire, and conflict. Here we have an interesting report that indicates how the potential relationship in these areas could be. Let's close. Let's tap Next. It is in this screen that we can understand the potential of this relationship, how karmic it is, how much these two people can be bound to each other. I find here a conjunction between Martina's north lunar node, which traditionally shows the areas where there is a need for greater progress, and John Doe's Saturn. Saturn is a planet whose symbolism reveals where our limitations are, where life imposes more difficulties on us. This conjunction may indicate that in a potential relationship, John Doe will force Martina to rationalize and ponder her entire learning journey. Let's request an interpretation. And here it is. I will just read the last paragraph. This connection can lead Martina to face challenges related to communication and learning, but at the same time it will offer the opportunity to build a solid foundation for her personal and spiritual development. John can be an important guide in this process, encouraging her to dedicate herself to her studies and expand her worldview. And that's it. We're done for today. I hope this topic will be useful to you. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. Today we will learn how to interpret primary directions. Primary direction is a term in astrology that refers to one of the oldest methods for forecasting events. It indicates the most significant moments in an individual's life. This method has been known since antiquity. The first written mention comes to us through the Tetrabiblos of Claudius Ptolemy, written about 1,800 years ago. Primary directions are also known as solar arc directions because they make all chart elements move the same distance traveled by the progressed sun. All within the day-year analogy that we discussed in Exercise 5. Progressions or primary directions are of enormous value for predictive astrology. Their predictions are considered the easiest to recognize in our lives, especially when the activated points in our chart are fundamental points, such as the personal planets, namely the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, the lunar nodes, or the four cardinal points ascendant, midheaven, descendant, and nadir. In Chaldea, the progressed planets are located on the outer edge of the circle farthest from the center. Progressions or primary directions are the golden glyphs. Progressed Pluto in primary direction, progressed midheaven in primary direction, Priapus, North Node, Moon, Vertex, Makemake, Mercury, Descendant, Jupiter. The Sun, our king star, is always relevant, and its progressions to fundamental points of the chart are always significant in life. We see that the progressed Sun is close to reaching Martina's descendant. The descendant symbolizes how we relate to others, especially in intimate and romantic partnerships. The solar arc is already at 3 degrees and 18 minutes of the sign of Virgo, and Martina's descendant is at 6 degrees and 51 minutes of this same sign. By the year analogy, we can already anticipate that the progression will occur in approximately 3.5 years. To confirm the date of occurrence, let's consult the ephemerides for the progressed sun. The ephemerides are tables of planetary positions that cover several years. We can tap the Ephemerides button in the upper right corner and navigate to the desired element. And here is the table. But for now, let's close it, because there is a quicker method to access these tables. When we center the crosshairs on the desired element, a small white sheet appears below the Ephemerides button. And we just need to tap that sheet to consult them immediately. Let's then look for the moment when the solar arc reaches 6 degrees and 51 minutes in the sign of Virgo. Here it is. This event will culminate in June 2028. Normally, a progression of this caliber unfolds over about 6 to 9 months, but the beginning of this process may occur about 6 months before the culmination and extend for 1 to 3 months afterward. Note that in astrology, the before extends much longer in time than the after. Let's go back to the chart and change the date. At the top of the screen, let's tap the small button labeled Date. Let's set it to June 15, 2028. Let's select the year at the top. Let's navigate to the month. Let's tap OK. The date is set. The time won't be important in this situation. Because we don't want to set a different time zone from ours, let's tap No. Here is Martina's chart with transits and progressions for June 2028. Let's look for the solar arc again. Let's long press the glyph. In this dialog, let's now tap the button labeled Natal Aspects. And here we have, in the second position, the conjunction with the descendant. Let's tap it for an interpretation. Here is the interpretation. It will certainly be a significant moment for Martina. Possibly it will be during this period that she will meet the most significant person of her love life. And we're done for today. I hope this approach has been useful to you. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. Today we will use a methodology with the potential to help us adjust the time of birth. Our protagonist today is John Doe. You can use your personal charts for this experience. On the application's main screen, we'll tap the Birth Page button. We'll select the person. And now let's tap the Birth Time Correction button. Few people know their exact time of birth. An accurate birth time is a crucial factor to unlock the full potential of astrology. If you suspect that your time of birth lacks precision, primary progressions, also called solar arc directions, can offer a valuable tool in this quest to discover your true time. While the primary progression speed of the planets in the natal chart is on average nearly 1 degree per year of life, the 4 cardinal points, namely the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, and nadir, will change their zodiacal position in your natal chart by approximately 1 degree whenever you change your time of birth by just 4 minutes. If you change, for example, your time of birth by 4 minutes, this change will cause a primary progression of a planet to one of the 4 cardinal points to occur about 1 year off in time. By examining key events in your life corresponding to important conjunctions between planets in primary progression and the cardinal points, you can potentially iteratively refine your estimated time of birth. This can be done by seeking greater temporal coherence between significant identifiable events in your life and the dates and respective interpretations associated with the progressions. Let's tap Proceed. Let's wait a bit for the calculations. We get a list of dates where primary progressions of the main planets reach one of the 4 cardinal points of John Doe's chart. The first occurrence refers to Mercury progressed to John's descendant. The dates point to April 2024. He would now have to think back a few months and use his memory to recall a potential stage in life when his intelligence, negotiation, and communication skills may have helped him in important partnerships. He immediately remembers that in these last few days he is about to secure enough support to, in association with former colleagues, create a company in the area of digital solutions. The second occurrence refers to Jupiter progressed to John's midheaven. This would have occurred in mid-2006. He would have been 5 years old, and it would be harder to recall those memories, but eventually he remembers that in the autumn of 2006 he traveled with his parents for a weekend to London, where at the Science Museum there was an exhibition celebrating the history of video games, something that fascinated him deeply. The third occurrence refers to Saturn progressed to John's midheaven, which would have occurred at the end of 2014 when John was 13 years old. After some time trying to remember what may have forced him to assume more social responsibilities or decisions that marked his professional future, he recalls that when he was close to turning 14, he started receiving tutoring in English and mathematics, school subjects in which he felt difficulty. And with these 3 possible correspondences, John begins to suspect that his time of birth might not be correct. He then decides to try changing his time and then try to associate other events in his life with the remaining listed progressions. He realizes that there may be a discrepancy of about 6 months delay in the dates and thus quickly calculates that he should add 2 minutes to his time of birth. Let's close this dialog and then tap the Edit Birth button. We'll set the time of birth to 5:32 p.m. Let's choose Local Legal Time. And we'll tap the floppy disk. Let's accept. And here it is. Now the process would continue until John achieves greater harmony between predictions and life events. And we're done for today. I hope this demonstration will be useful to you. Thank you for your attention, and until the next video. In today's video, we will explore a hidden corner of Chaldea. Today we return to romantic themes. We're going to talk about trips for two. First of all, it's important to highlight that this feature should only be used if both birth times have good accuracy. In Exercise 6, we have already learned how to discover unforgettable travel destinations, taking into account our birth chart. But will these destinations be equally memorable for the person who will accompany us? That's what we aim to solve with this feature, finding unforgettable travel destinations for the couple. It involves locating destinations on the world map where fundamental planets of both partners' birth charts are especially positioned at the 4 cardinal points, namely the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, and nadir. So on our main screen, let's tap the Interpretation button. We will select the first member of the pair. In my case, it's Martina. Now let's tap the Couple Travel Destinations button. I will choose John Doe. The search is in progress. We already have a vast list of destinations. Papua New Guinea doesn't seem advisable to me. Let's scroll. We see destinations in Thailand, but planets associated with violence appear, such as Mars and Pluto, so let's keep scrolling. Albuquerque in the United States of America. Not that either, because it seems somewhat dangerous for John. As an aside, let's remember that in the relocated chart for Dallas, Texas, of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Pluto was in conjunction with the midheaven. We now have the Gold Coast or Sunny Coast in Australia. Seems interesting. So let's request an interpretation. Here it is. Let's read. According to Astrology, Martina and John will feel a strong and intense connection while visiting the Gold Coast, Australia. This is due to the significant conjunctions in their relocated natal charts for that city. In Martina's relocated natal chart, the Sun in Leo is in conjunction with the ascendant, indicating that she will feel confident, bright, radiant, and full of vitality during this trip. Venus in Leo is in conjunction with the ascendant, suggesting an atmosphere of love, romance, and pleasure in the company of John. Neptune in Aquarius is in conjunction with the descendant, indicating a feeling of spiritual and transcendental connection between the couple. Priapus in Sagittarius is in conjunction with the nadir, suggesting an energy of intense desire and passion, increasing the seduction between Martina and John. In John's relocated natal chart, Mercury in Aquarius is in conjunction with the ascendant, indicating clear, intelligent, and original communication between him and Martina during the trip. Uranus in Aquarius is in conjunction with the ascendant, suggesting an atmosphere of excitement, unpredictability, and new experiences during the stay on the Gold Coast. These planetary conjunctions indicate that Martina and John will have a deep and stimulating connection during their visit together to the Gold Coast, with a mix of romance, clear communication, and exciting experiences. And that's it, we're done for today. I hope this topic will be enjoyable for you. Thank you for your attention, and until a next video. In today's video, we will talk about the wheel or part of fortune. This element of the birth chart is integrated in the so-called Arabic parts, positions obtained based on the calculation of 3 points of a chart, involving planets or cardinal points. The distance between two of the points is added to a third, usually the ascendant, to obtain the position of the parts. Astrological tradition defines many Arabic parts, such as the part of spirit, eros, or love, but the most commonly used is the part of fortune. The Arabic parts integrate very ancient techniques within astrology and have existed since the dawn of this knowledge. Their origin is relatively obscure and dates back to the times of the ancient Babylonians, Sumerians, Egyptians, and Persians, millennia ago. Specifically about the part of fortune, it represents a point in our birth chart where the sun and the moon find a harmonious aspect. It is calculated by adding the moon to the ascendant and subtracting the sun if we are born during the day, or adding the sun to the ascendant and subtracting the moon if we are born at night, that is, at a time when the sun is not visible. The part of luck or fortune represents in the birth chart the area of life where the person has the opportunity to find prosperity, success, and happiness. The chart I have open in the application is that of John Doe. Let's then zoom in and look for a small white wheel with a cross inscribed inside it. Here it is. Let's long press it and tap the question mark button. We already have the explanation of what the part of fortune is and what it's used for in astrology. Let's tap next, and we now have a personalized interpretation for John and how fortune protects him in life. And that's it for today. I hope you found this topic interesting.